Hey besties, my name is Mikey and welcome to my house. This is another episode of my podcast, Mikey's House, and I'm so glad that you guys could come over and just hang out for a bit. I think that this is episode 4. If you guys haven't checked out last week's episode, please go check it out. It was so fun to do and I had a great time. It's so funny. It was our Summerween 2025 special. I had on, it was our first guest, my best friend, Sammy. We talked about everything spooky from urban legends to ghost stories that I found on Reddit that were actually pretty scary. And we just joked around and had a good time. We also talked about a shared ghost story, ghost experience that we both had together. So that was pretty interesting. So make sure to go check that out. It was a great episode. I'm really happy with it. Before we get into today's episode, though, I just want to remind everybody that this podcast is an open, safe, and unfiltered space for fun, stories, and connection. Please don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe because it really helps me out. And if you feel inclined, please join my Patreon for exclusive content like behind the scenes footage, live streams, Q&As. Also, if you are a Patreon member, you get episodes of this podcast 5 days earlier on Monday instead of Fridays. I also have a separate series on there called The Leftovers, which is just an extension of this podcast, and that comes out on Tuesdays. So lots of good stuff over there for you guys. Also, it's just a chance for us to become closer. It's a smaller group on there, so I feel like it's more personable. Like it's literally just the besties on there, and I appreciate everybody for joining and supporting me on there. It really means a lot to me and it really helps this podcast. So today is going to be kind of like an up and down episode because it is jam-packed with emotions and topics. Today I want to talk about dating, and not just dating in general, specifically dating with a disability, what my experience has been like, what it looks like for me, how I feel like it's different now compared to before I became disabled, and just kind of the feelings and fears that I have around it now because it's a lot to unpack. It's very complex, but I really want to share these thoughts and my inner dialogue with you guys because I got a lot of comments from my first episode of this podcast when we were just kind of brainstorming like what episode should we do. Several people had mentioned dating, and these came from people with chronic illnesses, disabilities. So I know that this episode is going to find somebody who relates to it, and hopefully it just makes you feel less alone. I know I'm not alone out there because you guys reached out and said that this was something that you guys experience as well and something that you're struggling with. So I just want to talk about it, and I don't know, we'll see where we end up. I'm not too sure, but I feel like I might cry. Just heads up. So buckle in, besties. We're just gonna get right into it today. So first off, I kind of want to talk about the before and after. Before Armageddon, after Armageddon, Armageddon being when I became disabled. Dating for me before I became disabled, I loved it. I guess, I was what you would call a serial dater, I guess. I just loved dating. I loved meeting new people. It was so fun and exciting, and I loved it, and it was easy for me. I had no problems dating whatsoever. I had a lot of self-confidence. I had really high self-esteem back then. I think that played a huge part in it. I really thought I was the shit, but I think maybe it was just a confidence thing. But overall, it was just really exciting. I loved going on dates. I loved meeting new people. But dating after, it is not exciting anymore. I don't feel confident. My self-esteem is dwindling. Now it's very complicated. It's intimidating and has been kind of degrading in a couple of instances that I've had. I have been ghosted. I have been blocked after disclosing my disability. It's like, I don't know, it's not catfishing, but I don't know, like now I feel like I have to disclose, warn people that I'm disabled. Now, I have all the apps, not all the apps. I've got a couple. I've got like Hinge, I've got Tinder, I just got Raya. And so I'm doing the thing, and I got these apps back maybe a year after I became disabled because I did take a break for a while. I didn't know what dating was going to look like for me. I just did not even want to like crack that door open. But eventually I got there. I kind of was like, all right, I'm a little lonely. Let me see what's going on out there in the dating world. And besties, it's been a ride now. At first, I was not disclosing my disability in my bio because I feel like I shouldn't have to. It's like, okay, My disability, my disease is a huge part of my life and is a huge part of what I do, especially with things like this, all my social media stuff, my day to day, raising awareness, talking about it all the time. It's a huge part of me, but it's not all of me. I am still Mikey. I'm still the Mikey who loves music and I think I'm funny and I think I'm kind and I love to do stuff for other people. I feel like I'm very like I try to be as selfless as possible, although I am human, you know? So not saying that I don't have any red flags, but I feel like I have a lot to offer to somebody. And for some reason, when I feel like I have to disclose that part of myself, I feel like it genuinely takes away from who I am. Now, let's think about this for a second, though, because it's the year 2025. We live in a very superficial society where dating nowadays is very superficial. It's very face value. Lots of shallow people out there. Lots of people who don't know how to have in-depth relationships and how to connect on a deeper level. Just from my experience, I'm not saying everybody out there, but just from what I've experienced, it's been kind of hard to scratch to the surface with a lot of people. And my friends say the same thing. You might agree, but it's just a really weird age of dating that we live in because everything is just so, it's more meeting through the internet than meeting organically, like in person, like at a bar or a restaurant, through work, whatever, through friends, coworkers, stuff like that. So I feel like whenever I put that I'm disabled, when I disclose my disease in my bios, I feel like it takes away from who I am because I feel like people, especially people who are self-centered and don't read bios fully and just kind of look at the pictures, which we don't want to be with those kinds of people anyway. Just me. I don't care how hot you are. But I feel like it just kind of takes away from me, and then that's all they're gonna see. That's all they're gonna hear. That's all they're gonna know. They're gonna look at me, and you get like a mix of emotions from these people, right? You either get like pitied, they're like, "Oh, I'm so sorry," or you get like, "Oh, well, that sounds kind of like a lot. I'm not sure if I want to get into this." Which I guess is valid. Can't make anybody do anything, but it's very rare that I get people who are like, wow, like, well, tell me about this. How are you now? What are you going through? What's this like? It is very, 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 very rare. Maybe like only a couple of people I've matched with have wanted to like dive in deeper and create a deeper connection with that. So that's hard. Doing the dating profiles, that's just rough. I do disclose it now because before I was disclosing it, and the reason why I started disclosing it, I guess I should have started with this, was because I wasn't disclosing it, and then I would match with somebody, we would talk for a couple days, weeks, months, whatever, and then eventually every time it always comes down to that moment where it's like, hey, like really like where this is going. We should meet in person. And it's like, shit. Then you got to drop the bomb on them like, hey, I'm in a wheelchair, or I use like foot braces and a walker or cane, whatever you use. If you use mobility aids, whatever, it's a lot. And I know that you guys out there who are using mobility aids and dating, like it's you understand, I see you, you see me, like I feel like we get each other. But I have been in situations where it's gotten to that point, and then I have to say, yes, of course, I'm so down to meet. But by the way, just so you're not surprised when I show up, I am disabled, very visibly so. And, I use this and this for accessibility needs and stuff like that. And I have been ghosted. I have been blocked. It sucks. It hurts. It's degrading. And it's just like a shitty feeling. And I hate doing it. But I really am trying to give myself a chance to say, all right, it was not the one. They don't deserve you. But like it sucks and it hurts. So, I've kind of gone back and forth. I've taken breaks from dating. And I have not been in a relationship in 3 years or probably over. Like I said, I'm open, but it's just these little things that uh seem like really big things to me. So yeah, been ghosted, been blocked. That sucks. Basically, now I feel like I have to lead with the fact that I'm disabled. Like it defines me before people even get to know me. And that's not fair because I'm still all of the things that I've always been. With dating with a disability, There is a lot of vulnerability that goes into it, and with that vulnerability comes rejection. I mean, in any situation of dating, you've got to be okay with being rejected, right? If you shoot your shot and it doesn't land, it is what it is. You got to be okay with it. But like, why is it so much more like nerve-wracking, like when you're disabled? Because it's almost like you know what they're gonna say, like you know what the response is gonna be. Like you feel like they might automatically be like, oh, that's too much. Like, I'm not interested. But that, my friend, is internalized ableism. And I am actively learning how to unlearn that because those are not healthy thoughts. You are essentially already manifesting your like negative thoughts, like what you think these people are thinking about you are going to say. You don't know. You haven't even like sent them a message yet. But I'm really actively trying to unlearn that, trying to rewire my thoughts, flip the pancake, if you will, switch the channel so that my first thought when I like come across someone who I think is like really hot and sounds cool in their bio isn't, like that I don't think that they're automatically just gonna say like, ah, skip, or like, hey, no, So I'm actively unlearning that as we speak. All of my stories have not been bad. I have had, I think, so we weren't official, but I was seeing somebody at one point, I think a year and a half ago. And it was really nerve-wracking because it was my first time going on a in-person date with someone since I had became disabled. And I just want to start off by saying that this person was the sweetest person ever. It just didn't work out because I still had so much to work through, and I was not emotionally available, and I was not ready like I thought I was. But it was great for getting my like toes in the water and just kind of getting back out there, kind of seeing what it's like. And we're still friends, and they're a great person. But speaking of getting like toes wet, there was this one time that me and that person were like hanging out, and then they were like, oh my gosh, we should get in the pool. And I was like, yeah, that sounds great. And I said that before I even thought about it, but then after I said that, I was like, oh no, like, gosh, we're getting in the pool. One, I have to wear a life vest now because I can't swim anymore. Two, I need help getting in and out of the pool. And I was really nervous to speak up about this, but I knew I had to because I was like, we're gonna get to the pool, and then I'm just gonna stand there like, oh, I don't know what to do. So I just told him, I said, I am so down, and this is embarrassing for me to talk about, but I need to let you know that I'm going to need help getting in and out of the pool. And he just looked at me and he was just like, don't you worry. So we go out, we get up to the pool, and I reach my hand out to kind of like, I guess, grab his so I can walk down the steps. And he was like, no, come here. And he like swoops me up like wedding style and carries me into the pool. And I didn't even need to put my life jacket on because he just like held me the whole time, like in his arms, and just like walked me around. It was, for me, the sweetest thing. This man was so sweet. He was so kind, so gentle, and just so accepting. And this was really a huge turning point for me, which is why I'm so thankful to like still know him, because he was a huge part of my story and like rebuilding my self-confidence and just kind of hope in general, and dating, and one day finding love and connection, because he was so sweet. And it just really reminded me that that is still out there when I am ready. So that really flipped the script for me. That was a huge turning point for me in my dating as a disabled person journey. Yeah. And so, beautiful story to me. I don't think I'm doing it justice because I'm in a time crunch, but that happened, and it's a beautiful, beautiful moment. I was seeing another guy after that, very briefly. Now, this is a not so great story. So I have epilepsy, I have focal onset aware seizures. So my seizures kind of feel more like strokes to me. They're not even like the, stereotypical, like if you think of epilepsy, like, or you see epilepsy in movies, that Hollywood really like overdoes it. And it's very, I don't have like tonic clonics, like I don't pass out, I don't convulse, I don't go unconscious, nothing like that. I'm fully aware, conscious, just feels like I'm having a stroke. And then I get like a headache for a day or two. It just kind of takes me a day or two to feel 100. So anyway, I was talking to this person. They came to stay with me for what was supposed to be 3 days. Ended up being like a week or two because I'm just too nice of a person, and I have learned how to set boundaries, but I was really bad at it at this time because, again, this was my like second time kind of seeing somebody in person, and I was just so excited to like get back into it. And this time I was feeling more confident, and I was ready to roll. So I was like, let's do this. And anyway, the first full day that he was with me visiting, I had a seizure, and we had talked about it before. he was like, I've never been in a situation like that, but of course, like, I'll be here, like, it'll be fine. And I was just like, I was basically just telling him this because I was like, I just need to know that if this happens, you're not gonna like freak out or like, whatever. But obviously, if you did, I'd understand, especially if it's your first time being in this situation. But let's just say I had a seizure, long story short, and this person did not react in the way that they said they would, or I thought they would. I kind of thought of all scenarios. I was like, well, maybe it'll be like this or this. I know it's not going to be like 100% like, oh, like, let me take care of you. It was not that at all. Anyway, that didn't really last long, and I just got really icky vibes after that. Now we're going to go a little deeper here. So a little not safe for work, NSFW disclaimer, but this is around the time where I was starting to feel a little sexy again. All right, guys, I was starting to want to explore a little bit because I had not been intimate with anybody in like 2-3 years up to this point. And so I had just moved out of my parents' house. I was just really trying to reclaim my independence because I was living with them for a while, and while I was figuring stuff out and going to doctors and stuff. And so I was like, yeah, like, I want to get back into like my old life. And so I start dabbling, okay, basically. I get back into it, and it is such a weird feeling now. My body cannot hang, okay? Like, if me going to my mailbox is like a 5K run or a marathon, having sex is an Olympic sport, okay? So it's just a little bit different. And that kind of taps back into the vulnerability side. It's very, very vulnerable, especially like being open with someone like, hey, I'm disabled, but like also like, I find you attractive. I feel like I have more body image issues more now than ever because I'm a lot like thinner, my muscle sizes are different in different places because of my disease. And also there's just that internal fear of rejection where it's just going to be like, oh, you know what? Like you think that they're just going to be like, and like, actually, I gotta go. So I have a lot of like mixed feelings around intimacy. I'm open to being intimate, but I think now it's just gonna have to be with like the right person. I'm also just not really into hookups. I used to be, but that was, as we talked about, pre-Armageddon. I'm not really wilding out like that anymore. Very chill. I would rather have more of an emotional connection, I think, with somebody than a physical one. And I think that's just based on my situation. Like now I want to hear about how your day was, what you do for work, why you love what you do for work, your passions. Like I want to talk about like, I don't know, the moon and how it affects the tides. What's your astrology sign? Like I want to know more about you. I want to put myself in your shoes and I want to empathize with you more, I think, than like have sex with you now. Which is not that I don't want to, but that's just kind of like more my style now. And I think that that is just because of my insecurities, my body image issues, and maybe it's just something that I don't want to like face yet, subject to change. But that's just kind of how I feel. I love myself. I really, really do. But the moment right before something intimate happens, I freeze and I think, what if they see my body and I feel something that I can't control? And then I ruin the vibe and then it's just a mess after that. So, that's just something that I'm personally dealing with. Next, I kind of want to talk about what people don't see when it comes to dating someone with a disability from my side. I kind of want to get into a few misconceptions about dating someone disabled. A common misconception, number one, would be like they're a burden, right? A disability may require adaptations or support, but that does not mean that that person is incapable of giving, receiving, or thriving in a relationship. Emotional intimacy, support, and love are mutual and it's not one-sided. So I think that that's important to vocalize. That's just something that's how I feel. Another one, even though it is like my personal choice that I'm choosing not to be intimate right now, even though I'd like to be. But another one would be like they can't be sexual or romantic. And disabled people have the same range of sexual and romantic desires as anyone else. Disability does not erase attraction, flirtation, or chemistry. It just might mean navigating it differently. Another one that you might come across is dating someone with a disability is settling. That is, it's considered settling. That's ableist, bestie. That is an ableist way of thinking. Being with someone who's disabled isn't a lesser choice. It's a relationship just like any other relationship based on connection, values, and attraction, right? That's all it is. It's a relationship. Now, this one There is a little internalized ableism on my part on this one, but this one is they should only date other disabled people. Now, have I thought that it would just be easier to find someone else who is disabled that might understand more about what I'm going through? Yes, do I think that would be easier? Maybe, but it might not be. I should not have to limit myself, right? I'm sure I would connect a lot with people, and I'm not saying that I would not date another disabled person. Absolutely 100%. I'm sure we would relate on so many things, but expecting disabled people to just date other disabled people, it's fucked up and weird to me. People should date whoever they're compatible with. Disabled or not, relationships are about shared energy, not shared medical charts. And I am not a love guru, but that's just how I feel. And that's just what I think about that situation. Another one would be they're too fragile or complicated to be in a relationship. Everyone comes with their own complexities and even baggage. In fact, disabled people, I think, often show incredible strength and resilience, perseverance, and tons of emotional depth. And these are all things that can actually strengthen relationships, in my opinion. So just something to think about, ponder about. Another one would be they don't want or need a relationship. Not true. I would like one when the time is right, when I meet the right person. Disabled people want intimacy, connection, and love just like anyone else. Isolation isn't a default state. It's often a result of societal misinterpretation, misunderstanding. I don't need one, but I want one. Ooh, this one. They are not independent enough to maintain a relationship. Independence looks different for everybody, and disabled people often develop unique forms of just my personal experience, what I've learned, develop unique forms of adaptability, problem solving, and strength in their everyday lives. And I think that that transfers over into relationships and their just connections with people in general, with their family, their friends. I mean, we learn how to do things differently. We are able to adapt, and we can just kind of take whatever comes our way, and we just deal with it and do what we need to with it, you know? And this last one I want to talk about is, I think, really important. Another one I think would be talking about their disability is taboo or off limits. Not to me. Ask me questions. Talk about it with me. Open, respectful conversations about needs, experiences, and boundaries are so important. And most disabled people want that honesty in dating. I do. I know I do. I just don't want someone to be afraid or feel afraid to talk about it or ask what I'm going through because they think it might be heavy or I might not want to talk about it or whatever the case is. I get it. It's, everybody's different. You should definitely ask hey, is it okay if I ask you a question about this? And if the person says no, that's okay. Boundaries. But I don't think talking about somebody's disability in a relationship or when you're in the getting to know somebody phase should be taboo or off limits at all. I've had people assume that dating me means a burden, but honestly, I just want somebody who can carry dark humor and kindness in the same breath. That is my dream person. And I know that person is out there. I know that that's going to happen for me one day. It's funny because I always imagine myself definitely getting married and doing the thing, but I just really I don't know, the last year or so, I've really kind of thought of it as a goal now of mine. I really want to find somebody that I connect with and build a life with someone. I've spent a lot of the last 3 years alone and isolated, again, because of societal misunderstanding and judgment and stuff like that. But it's just something that I really want nowadays, which is weird because 2 years ago, I did not even want to think about it. But now I'm yeah, I do want to get married. And despite my circumstances and situations, I do want a relationship and to build a life with somebody and grow. But it's again, I deal with a lot of internal stuff that I'm actively learning how to undo. I'm in therapy. We work real hard at it. And I'm a lot better than I used to be. So things that I want now, there's been a huge shift in me craving emotional intimacy. I think that creating that emotional foundation is huge in building a strong relationship with somebody, and that could be in any, you could use that in any situation, I think, friends, acquaintances, whatever, but definitely in a relationship, and something that I think is an important part of me finding somebody that I think I would mesh well with. I want to be seen beyond my mobility aids and symptoms and overall disability, my capabilities, my inabilities, my strengths, my weaknesses. Would I just want to be seen for me. And I know it's just, again, we live in such a superficial society where it's just like, where it's literally like what you see is what you get, first impression kind of thing. And I feel like sometimes I even try to like overcompensate and like make my personality like bigger when I meet people, and then it comes off like as ingenuine, or like I feel like not as authentic because I try harder to be myself, which isn't being myself, because I don't want people to just like see me in my braces or my walker, cane, wheelchair, whatever I use as my disease progresses. Like, I don't want them to just see me as that, you know? And I know that my friends don't. I know a lot of people don't, especially you guys don't, because we've gotten to know each other on a deeper level. But, you know, in the dating world, it's a little complicated to do that. And that's something that like I don't think us as disabled people should settle for. Still feeling sexy and hot. It's so funny to talk about because I never talk about this stuff. But just differently. Still being able to like fill my oats, do my thing, but just in a new kind of way, I guess. Because I am getting my confidence back. I do feel like I am an attractive person. And like I started dressing up for myself recently. That's helped a lot. I was really just rocking sweats and t-shirts for like 2 years, and now I'm kind of putting effort back into myself, and putting that effort back into myself has kind of given me more confidence to want to pursue dating again. So I think self-love and self-care, independence go like hand in hand with like dating and trying to wanting to be in a relationship, or just take that step. If you're someone who is like newly disabled or diagnosed with something and you're not sure what is going to happen or is out there for you, like love or relationship wise, it's important to be open, but to take care of yourself first. And I know that that's hard, especially with the million things that we all have going on in our lives. But it's something that I have to make sure that I do every day. It's also important to remain safe. I want safety. I want emotional safety. I want physical safety. I want curiosity. I want people to want to know more about me, just like I want to know more about them, whatever it is, if it's about my disability or not. I just want people to understand me and everything that I am. And I want deep emotional connection. That's really all I want. So I have two final thoughts for two different groups of people that may be watching this. To my disabled listeners and viewers, you are not alone in this. It's hard, yes, but not impossible. You are allowed to want love. We're allowed to want love. We are allowed to want love. We are allowed to crave touch, and we are allowed to protect our parts and still be able to open it, To my non-disabled viewers and listeners, give people a chance. Ask questions respectfully, respect people's boundaries, please, and don't lead with assumptions. You'd be surprised how much beauty is in connection when you take the time to see it. I have so many feelings about dating and love, and I when I imagine the rest of my life, I do imagine it with somebody, and I know that's going to happen. I don't feel like I will be alone in that sense. And I know I'm never alone with my support system, friends, family, you guys, stuff like that. But as far as relationships go, I do see myself with somebody, and it's hard for me, especially in my situation. It's like one of those things where it's like realistically, it's like how long do I have, and like how long do I have before it gets like really bad, like, and so you just don't know. I don't know. Of course, it's like existential to think about it. And I'm such an existentialist now. If I wasn't before, I definitely am now, which I was before. It's just like existential overload now. But I want to love somebody. I want to be loved. I want to get engaged. I want to like meet somebody's family. I want to like go to all the holidays, do all the stuff. I want to get married and build a life with somebody and become a part of somebody's story and have them become a part of mine. And, sometimes I don't know if I'm gonna make it there because, you just don't know how long you have. But I am hopeful and I try to remain positive about it that I will get to experience it. And it's weird that that's become one of like the main things that I want to experience. Like, after like all this stuff, people are like, oh, like, you should make a bucket list. And I will get into that in another episode, like why I do not want to make a bucket list. But I do have goals, and that has become like something like at the top of my list, almost like top three maybe. Because I want to experience that because I never have, and I don't want it to be too late. Not that I would regret it if it didn't happen, because life happens and things happen exactly how they are supposed to happen. The universe is so weird like that. But that is genuinely just something that I want to experience. And I'm being optimistic when I say I know I will, but it's just something that I think about a lot, and something that I hope I get to experience, and something that I just hope for myself because I know that I deserve it just like everybody. Sorry if this episode was like all over the place, and sorry if this episode was kind of short. I actually don't know how long we've been. Okay, it was like 44 minutes. It's kind of a short episode. Yeah, I don't know. I was watching, guys, do not judge me. This movie is so good, phenomenal. Brokeback Mountain, beautiful movie with Jake Gyllenhaal and Heath Ledger, and Anne Hathaway's in it, and it's just wow, great cast, 10 out of 10. But I was just like, besides like the cheating and the adultery and the sneaking around and stuff like that, but I just was like watching that movie, and I think it was just, watching romantic movies is kind of hard for me now because I see people, being intimate and like, experiencing like physical touch, and like me seeing that, I get this like visceral reaction where it's just like I just sob because it's just something that I want. It's just something I want to experience and have, and it makes me, oh, it just does something to me. And I don't know if it's healthy or not. I need to ask my therapist that. It's definitely cathartic, and it kind of makes me look forward to what is to come. I don't dread it anymore. Anyway, besties, that's all I'm going to say about that topic. But I just really wanted to talk about this because I think it's really important. I had a lot of people like ask about it, and I just wanted to do a little episode on it, even though it's not a long one. Sorry, it's kind of a short episode, guys. But yeah, if there's anybody out there that can relate to this, first off, I'm sorry that you can relate. It's a shitty boat to be in, but we deserve it all. Whatever we want, we deserve it. And if that's love, if that's a relationship, if that's finding somebody to spend life with and time with, then we should get it. We should get it, bestie. All right, so that's all the time that I have for today. Sorry if this felt like kind of a rushed episode. Don't forget to like, comment, share, subscribe. Again, it really helps me out more than you know. And again, if you feel inclined, please join my Patreon because it helps tremendously with supporting this show directly, and things that I want to do with this show. So highly recommend it. Again, I've got lots of extra content for you. Actually, after this, I'm filming an episode of The Leftovers, which is just an extension of this podcast, just kind of extra thoughts, and it's exclusive for Patreon members only. So you're not joining for nothing, but I just want to give back to you guys as much as possible because you guys support me so much, and I'm here for you guys, and I just want to give. I just want to like hang out with you guys all the time is what it feels like. So anyway, yeah, thanks for supporting the show. And to my current Patreon members, thank you for supporting me and being behind me always. It means so much to me. You do not go unseen. I know we talk on Patreon. We are besties in real life. But I just want to let you guys know I appreciate you. And to anybody that listens to this show, this podcast, who has shared my videos on social media, has listened to my story, thank you. It means the world to me. I see you. I hear you. I'm here for you. I want to be a voice for people who are not ready to share their story. So thank you for giving me a platform and allowing me to do what I do. This is my purpose. I have completely dedicated my life to helping other people feel less alone and seen and heard, and being a voice for those who aren't ready to talk with their own voice. So I really appreciate it. This has become such a special place for me, and I hope it has for you guys as well. Well, it was so good to see you. Thank you for coming over to my house, and I cannot wait to see you again. Please remember to be kind to yourselves and others. Love your neighbor, and I will see you when I see you. Bye, besties.